Trump admin taps far-right groups to teach civics for America's 250th birthday. The Education Department is tapping dozens of groups to help with its civics initiative ahead of next year's celebrations of the nation's founding in 1776. Donald Trump and his administration are tapping a bevy of far-right organizations notorious for whitewashing American history to help plan next year's celebrations of the nation's 250th birthday. On Wednesday, an announcement from the Education Department listed several ultra-conservative organizations known for promoting racist and xenophobic narratives about America's past and demonizing anyone who doesn't as partners for an initiative ostensibly focused on civics. The 40-plus groups will partner with the America First Policy Institute, formerly led by Education Secretary Linda McMahon, to spearhead national initiatives to engage students, educators, and communities in conversations about liberty, citizenship, and America's enduring values. The list includes organizations such as PragerU, the right-wing content mill that has produced material for children downplaying racist atrocities like chattel slavery and the genocide of Native Americans, and whose founder has openly said that his intent is to indoctrinate children. Also on the list, my understanding is that Dennis Prager, who's the founder of PragerU, is like a hardcore, like, Christian nationalist, super weird, conservative, like not connected to reality type dude. He's one of those guys that like seems to get more legitimacy behind him than he really deserves. He does not deserve any of the legitimacy he's for some reason has on the right. Also on the list is the Heritage Foundation, the group whose authorization agenda, Project 2025, is being effectuated throughout the Trump administration. Moms for Liberty, which has sought to whitewash school curricula and fueled a push to ban library books that conservatives don't like, is also on the list, as is Turning Point USA, the organization co-founded by Charlie Kirk. The idea that you're going to have these ultra-conservative groups like the Heritage Foundation and Turning Point USA being the one to teach kids civics on the 250th anniversary of the United States is just like beyond parody, right? This is like an Onion News article, right? This is why I keep saying satire is dead. I just feel like no other administration prior to this would do something this overtly favoring one side or the other, or this overtly uncaring about the appearance of bias or impropriety, right? I just can't imagine the Trump administration or the Biden administration or the Clinton administration or any Democratic administration or really any prior Republican administration willing to be this overt about it, right? You would think that if they're being consistent and they were cared about in the message of impropriety, right, they would sprinkle in some like non-explicitly right-wing organizations into the mix. You know, maybe they have some right-wing ones and maybe even a few left-wing ones and a bunch of middle ones, but maybe it slightly leans towards the right wing. No, they're going only right-wing ultra-conservative organizations, no middle ground, no left-wingers. It's just like, these people don't care about the appearance of corruption or impropriety or bias whatsoever. And it just seems so foreign to me because I feel like for basically this entire country's existence, the leaders have had to worry about that. They have had to worry about the appearance of corruption or impropriety or being consistent or appearing hypocritical because they did one thing and then did the exact opposite thing 6 months later, right? A quote in the Education Department's press release attributed to a top official of Turning Point Education said that TPUSA is, quote, more resolved than ever to advance God-centered virtuous education, end quote. See, like, it is beyond shameless that the Education Department, which is supposed to be like secular, not favoring one religion over the other, not favoring religion over non-religion, is literally like endorsing and repeating and parroting this quote that these TPUSA representative who they partnered with for the civics thing made, saying that we are more resolved than ever to advance God-centered virtuous education. God-centered, bro, that is the exact opposite of secularism. These people don't care about like appearing consistent or secular or impropriety or non-biased. It seems so foreign to me, the idea that you wouldn't care about the appearance. I guess it just speaks to their base, right? It speaks to their base that their base doesn't care about any of that, right? Their base is so well controlled by the right-wing media machine that like they don't have to worry about this kind of stuff anymore. It's honestly kind of impressive, right? Trump and his movement have openly promoted ending the constitutional separation between church and state and pushed for Christian nationalists to wield more control over U.S. politics. Needless to say, it doesn't make much logical or ethical sense to have such organizations, whose principles and practices seem so antagonistic to the concept of multiracial democracy, leading lessons on the rights and freedoms that Americans are to be afforded. Nor does it make sense for groups that, with track records of hiding American history, to oversee the teaching of American history. But as the New York Times noted Thursday, Trump has expressed a perverse and overtly partisan view on civics. Quote, in 2022, when he announced his 2024 presidential campaign, Mr. Trump vowed to strip federal funding from schools that promoted what he called radical civics. In another campaign speech, he criticized a bipartisan proposal to expand civics education in America. He criticized a bipartisan proposal to expand civics education in America. But they only wanted to be their civics. They only wanted to be cynically their hardcore Republican conservative civics and not even give you the chance to hear the more reasonable centrist or left-wing ones. They call it civics education, which is nothing more than a fake name for radical left indoctrination, Mr. Trump said. Yeah, that seems... This is just so disconnected from reality, bro. This is why I keep saying the Republican Party is the party of nihilism. It's just like you have to reject so many parts of reality to like for this ideology to make any sense at all. As president, he has repeatedly signaled his interest in boosting civics in America as a way to promote more patriotic education across the country. He has said his administration will strip funding from schools that stray from those themes. This array of far-right organizations seems carefully chosen to advance Trump's priorities of whitewashing American history and using warped, exclusionary depictions of it to aid his political movement. So yeah, it just seems like beyond satire that you would have these organizations, of all organizations, be heading some 250th civics thing that you're going to have in public schools across the country, right? And also, probably the most egregious thing about all of this is how they don't really even care about the separation of church and state anymore, right? They think it's they're going along with Charlie Kirk, right? He himself argued that the separation of church and state, the whole concept of secularism, is some made-up Marxist nonsense, and that it's completely unnecessary. And not only that, but it's antithetical to producing a properly good functioning country, right? I could not disagree more. And the idea that the Education Department press release, the official federal government educational department press release, is parroting quotes from TPUSA, the people they just contracted with, and they're parroting these quotes as if they are good, like quotes saying more resolved than ever to advance God-centered virtuous education. God-centered. You literally put that wording in your official Education Department press release. Are you guys insane? These people don't care at all about the appearance of secularism, separation of church and state, the appearance of impropriety, not being biased, not being seen as hypocritical, chickens coming home to roost, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. We're just living total satire land, right? We are in posts. I just came up with a new term, right? We live in a post-satire world with regards to politics and governance. And it's just funny. I don't really know what else to say. It's scary. It's funny. It's crazy. It's all of the above.